Hi, I'm Rachel Beach, and I'm with the Nonprofit Toolbox, and I'm here with Susan Hammond, and she's going to be speaking at our event in a few weeks. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
And your company is?
I'm SCHammond Advisors and the author of the Advisory Board Kit, the comprehensive guide to putting advisory boards together.
And Susan, you've been connected with us since our inception. What can you tell us about why you've decided to do that?
I think that you reach a need that small nonprofits are not having satisfied by the programs that you offer and the networking and the resources that you're creating for that size organization, which is very important. I think that they're often ignored by the bigger functions, or they can't afford to go, and it's just very necessary, but no one else was filling that need. So I really supported it and wanted to get behind it.
Well, the best thing that happened to the Nonprofit Toolbox this year was your assistance in helping us form an advisory board. We've gotten some great ideas, and people have helped us strategize, and quite a few more organizations take advantage of an advisory board.
I think people are afraid to ask other people to help, even though people are willing to give their time. And if you're a nonprofit, yes, people will serve on your board of directors, but there's so much other need out there. You could use an advisory board for so many other things. The other thing is, people don't often want, business or nonprofit, don't necessarily want to share their financial information or what's going on inside because they're ashamed that they may not have it in the kind of order they think people are going to expect it to be in. And that right there is the very reason to have an advisory board, to have those people help you figure out what you really need to be working on and how to do it. The other thing is, I think people just unfortunately don't know that this thing, advisory boards, works and that it exists, that you can put it together. It can be a little bit time consuming, as I'm sure you can attest to, that you got to basically know what you're looking for and then go out and meet people to make sure they're the right fit for the organization. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
So can you tell us some of the key differences between an advisory board and a board of directors?
The number one difference is that if you're on a board of directors, you're legally responsible for the organization. If you're on an advisory board, all you do is advise. I like to tell people that the way to remember it is directors vote, advisors recommend. The other thing is that in a company, the board of directors, if it has stockholders, not just the business owner, with a board of directors, it's the stockholders that elect the directors. The advisors on an advisory board are handpicked by the CEO. So basically the CEO can decide he doesn't like you anymore, she doesn't like you, and fire you as an advisor. So you can't do that if you're a CEO with a board of directors. The stockholders remove the directors. Those are the primary differences. And the fact that because you're not legally responsible as an advisor, you can't technically get sued. Whereas as a director, you can be held legally responsible. Now, if you're a nonprofit board in the state of Massachusetts, there is some protection under the Mass general laws about liability. So it's a little bit different, nonprofit advisory boards versus nonprofit boards of directors. But the other thing to remember is if you're on a board of directors and something goes wrong with the organization and you're a nonprofit, you may not have any legal responsibility, but your reputation could still get tarnished. So there's all those things to take into consideration when you decide to serve as a director of a nonprofit.
You spend a lot of time with nonprofit organizations, educating them on procedures and how their board operates. What do you see as some of the general pitfalls or problems most nonprofit boards have?
I think number one problem is they don't manage expectations, and it is what I'm going to talk about at the conference on the 22nd of March. And what I mean by managing expectations is the people coming in to be directors sometimes are so thrilled to be asked that they don't really think about whether the mission of the organization resonates with them, whether or not they have the time to do it. Do the meetings work with their schedule? Did they meet anybody else on the board? Is there some commonality? The potential director isn't prepared, and the executive director or the head of nominations or the board chair are not setting expectations as to, okay, we expect you to sit on one committee, this is a donating board, you need to give a gift each year of this or get a gift, financial amount of this specific amount. People just aren't prepared to serve, and then a lot of people aren't trained because no one thinks to go to training about the actual procedures of running a board, why you have to take votes, how you do resolutions, what should be in the agenda, what shouldn't be in the agenda, what should be in the minutes, what shouldn't be in the minutes. All these things require a little thought and preparation, and often I see people just jump in. I've recently looked at a set of minutes that I felt like I was at a tea party. There was so much information in there. I believe when you take minutes for a board of directors, it should just be action items, and you should not put anything in there that could potentially get you sued or in a discovery of a lawsuit suddenly show up, that type of thing.
So those are the kinds of things you're going to be talking about and addressing at the Toolbox event?
Hopefully people are going to leave with kind of a list of, these are the things I should be doing as I recruit board members, and if they're thinking about getting on a board, these are the questions that I should ask. I mean, I recently had an experience where I joined a board, and I've been very specific about how much time is this going to require, and they told me, and I got on board, and the time kept expanding, and I finally said, you know, this is impairing my ability to do marketing for my business. I can't serve. You know, they didn't manage my expectations, and I had given them ample opportunity as to how much time I could spend. So, you know, there's one instance where even you can be a proactive, prospective director and still not have your expectations managed correctly. So hopefully there'll be a couple of checklists, both for a board member and for the board chair or the executive director in recruiting the board member.
Great. Well, we look forward to having you, and
I look forward to being there. You know, it's a great conference, and I hope we have a lot of attendance.
Great. Thank
So,
you.
Thanks.